Hi, Caroline Kearney here at Powell Arts, and I'm with Hayman, or E. Sherman Hayman, your full formal name. We are standing in front of her piece, which will be, it's one of 4 pieces that will be in our It Is Written show, which will be from now through October 29th, with a special preview on August 19th and 20th during the Collingswood Fine Arts and Crafts Festival. Mara, would you mind introducing us to your piece?
Okay, this piece is actually a quote from André Malraux. He wrote, "All art is a revolt against man's fate." This piece is part of a series, actually a big project that took me 3 years, called Desideratum, the Artist's Life. And Desideratum is a Latin word for something both desired and needed. Desired and needed, like an obsession.
Like art should be.
Which art is.
Yeah.
So there's 3 parts in the project. One, I sent questionnaires to all the artists I knew and asked them to forward the questionnaires. And the question was, what keeps you being an artist?
That's so interesting.
What influences you once you're in the studio? What is your time in the studio like? And interestingly enough, the most common adjective that came back was frustrated. But it was interesting. So the whole first part of the project is using adjectives and words to describe how artists feel about what they do.
Yes.
The second part of the project is a collection of quotations that have been saving my whole life about creating and about art. Some of them are funny and some of them are not funny.
A little bit serious. Existential.
Or existential.
Yes.
And then the third part is more about art. It's called Art Speak. And I collected art criticisms from the last 20 or 30 years, because before that, art criticism used to be a description of what you saw, how well it was rendered, a landscape of such and such, the palette is such and such, the clarity, the light, and so forth. Now, art criticism is more
conceptual.
It's more conceptual. So you can read art criticism and you're not sure what the work that you're going to be seeing looks like.
That's true.
So, and it's kind of funny because I used a lot of quotations. But this is one, to me, of one of the most powerful thoughts about art and making art.
Well, because I also think that there's an element, I think it's very interesting that most artists get frustrated, because I think that actually a lot of our lives as humans is this frustration to get through, like, not that, I think we think of frustration as a negative thing, but oftentimes frustration, or like people would use the term like their plans were frustrated, and all that they're saying is an obstacle was put in its place. And so I think that because art is so much about trying to communicate effectively what you're feeling and sensing and observing, that is a frustrating process, because there are a lot of obstacles within you, and then you get it out of you, but that can also be frustrating. And so, and then getting the message out and failing to get it out can be frustrating. So there's a lot of ways you could be frustrated. But I also think that part of the impulse, like that all art is a revolt against man's fate, is a very human compulsion to have legacy and idea and share and communicate. And so is to do something to feel like you have agency in your future.
That's good. Can I use that?
Please.
Art statement?
Please do.
Really good.
I'm very wordy.
Because the whole reason I started Desideratum in the first place was the realization for me and every single artist I know,
Mhm.
including the ones who show in New York and elsewhere and sell regularly,
Mhm.
and the ones who don't show at all, but they hide in the studio and they work all day. The whole range
Mhm.
of all those artists. People are driven to make art, and
Mhm.
it doesn't matter if you don't show, you don't sell, doesn't matter if your reviews are lousy
Yes.
or you're hiding. It doesn't
Yeah.
matter because it's
this human compulsion
Yeah.
of this need to create and communicate. And I think that was one of the, Carol obviously comes up with a lot of our themes and subjects for what we're going to curate a show around. And I think one of the reasons that she's like a little idea machine, and she'll come up with a whole list of every time I turn around, she has got a new show idea. And the reason we centered on this one as one of the 3 theme shows that we do every year is because language, we think of language when most people are talking about it globally, we think about it as just being the written word. But art is a language, music is a language. Language is just simply structure. Even when we're talking about AI, they're calling it large language modeling, and it encompasses all of these things.
Yeah.
And so we wanted to show a lot of different ways that the written word works, and also the way we use the written word to describe and communicate our lives. And my mom's gonna say, I don't know if that's what I was thinking, but yes, that is it, because she's a visual artist and I'm the word person.
Yeah.
When you're both of those, because you have a degree in English Lit. But I think that that's one of the things we really liked about the work we're bringing in for you is that we tried to pick work that talked about language in lots of different ways. And I think your work, you key in on this idea of these very human rites of passage and ideas and how we feel about living our lives. Mm-hmm. And then you use all of your tools, both visual and literary, to kind of communicate that out to the world. And so it's a perfect fit for this kind of show.
And it's a lot of fun because I spend a lot of time studying fonts.
Yeah.
So that when I pick a font that I'm going to use, it has to relate to the message.
Yeah.
So I'd also mention too, while I'm talking here, that if you go on my website and check out the series, Desideratum, you can see everything I've been blathering on about in that section.
So we'll definitely put the website right here coming up at the bottom. I want to talk a little bit about one. We always talk about how you have fabulous colors and you integrate media that has shimmer and different textures and luminosity. And so you have the holes with the hard little beads and the nice little art. What are these?
They're little round wooden pegs that I jammed into
the holes. Oh, that's so great. And then how that goes and kind of manifests, you've put it into the sgraffito in the background and things like that. And so it's an interesting way to think of texture and dimension, dimensionality. But there's also something else that I find interesting about it, which is if art is a revolt against man's fate, and we're talking about frustration and obstacles, what's funny is it almost feels like a simmer. And some of them simmer more out into a boiling, and some of them are a slow roll. And in some ways, revolt is something that simmers up and then comes to a boil and comes back down. And so I find the different circles and the way that there are different levels and intensities very interesting.
Oh, thank you.
How do you think about that, though?
I don't know that when I'm working with patterns and texture, again, I'm trying to make it relate to the message. Mm-hmm. And that we're detached.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of things are
which
detached,
is also here. Yeah.
Including color. But I think I was thinking globally, just man's fate as some enormous existential thing. Mm-hmm. And I think I was thinking of planets in space floating.
That's so interesting.
But I love what you said about it's almost like things bubbling and simmering and all these things popping out and going in and movement.
Yeah, well, and also it could be, to talk about globally and human instinct, it also, because you leave it vague in this way, it could be you looking down on humans, and these are all of their little heads.
I love it.
So I'm sorry, I can't help myself. So I love this piece, and I love the way that you transition through color, and it becomes so nuanced, and it provides energy to the piece without ever taking away from your message, which I think is terrific. So
Thank you.
I hope people come see all 4 of Murr's pieces. I mean, if they're here, why wouldn't they look at all 4? What a silly thing to say, Caroline. But we hope that they'll come see your work and enjoy it as much as I do. It will be here at Powell Arts from now through October 29th. Thank you so much, Mur.
Thank you, Caroline.